It is Monday, April 19th, 2010. Gaia has made her presence known because there is some information about the earth that she wishes to tell us about, and our interest in a lot of the interest of individuals in the world have their eyes upon Iceland and the volcanoes there. And as we have been talking about it, Richard and I did some healing work, and Gaia wishes to come forth and speak about it. And so I turn my eyes and ears and my heart towards Gaia for her message. And she says, I have been very alarmed at watching the progression of the entrapment of the lava. As you know, ice prevents the volcanoes there from acting in the usual manner. And instead of being able to bring the lava forth, what has been happening is the gases have been expelled into the air, causing a lot of discomfort to people, to animals, causing a lot of economic destruction to the farmers, and also air travel being hampered. And so on many levels, people have suffered. And as you are probably aware, there is another volcano nearby that is connected to this one. And what is not known is there is a corridor under the earth, which some call tubes, that actually not only connects the volcanoes in Iceland, but connecting to volcanoes in a lot of the parts of the world. You see, on some level, the volcanic tubes are understood, and your scientists know that on islands or continents that there is a connection between the volcanoes with regards to these tubes. But what is not understood is that between the continents there is also a connection between the volcanoes. It's not quite like the tube that is on the islands or the continent, because there are some deep trenches that must be used as a corridor also. And part of this connection is not the same as lava moving through the tubes, but rather it is, you might consider it a shaking, like you would see a radio wave. You don't actually see a radio wave, but you understand what happens when radio waves are transferred. And so beneath the ocean, connecting islands and continents, there is a transfer of energy that is moved through sound. It is not a sound that is necessarily picked up by science because it runs deep, but the earth hears. There is no part of the earth that is not influenced by another part of the earth. There is a synchronicity, and it is all joined in some fashion. Nothing stands alone, but rather, you might say, it is partners or hand-holding with one another. And so what happens at a continent that is at the top of the earth is felt in some way by the continent at the bottom of the earth. It is a transference. Now, what I could use as an example so you understand are water currents. This is something that has been mapped and can be picked up. There are water currents that travel through all of the oceans, and your scientists have a good idea as to how this is generated through temperature. The same thing happens inside of the earth. There is a connection. There is, you might say, a driver. And this incident, even though it appeared to be at one place in the earth, namely Iceland, Iceland is a very important driver for the entire planet. And if you study the forces that are beneath the top crust in Iceland, you know that it is a variable factory, so to speak, of moving magma. So a great part of Iceland is subject to this. And as magma moves, it sends signals. And of course, something that you have heard is that the ice prevents, or shall we say, interferes with the normal structure of volcanic activity. So it's almost like a cap, like you put a cap on a bottle. And because some of the areas there are so frozen and locked through the ice, there is a buildup of pressure with, as we said, the ice acting like a cap. And the gases that you see that have seeped out into the air is only part of what is happening, because some of the pressure is released there, but some of the pressure in other forms moves through tubes, and in turn this pressure is felt as it crosses over to other continents. So what we have here is not a problem of one island, or shall we say one continent. All is interlocked with one another. And what happens on one side of the planet is, you might say, answered or felt on the other side of the planet. There is a consciousness of your planet. The same way that everywhere you look around you, things have consciousness if you but explore that. Animals have consciousness. You might not think of an insect as having consciousness, but it does. A bee knows how to get back to its hive. It is consciousness. In a sense, even grass has consciousness. It reacts to the sun. It reacts to the water, and it grows. Everything on your planet is connected through consciousness. Nothing happens in one area that is not known, felt, and understood on another part of the planet. It is the way consciousness works. Consciousness is not something that you can turn off with a switch. And so, even though people might have felt that the volcanoes in Iceland was a problem for Europe, it really could have been an awakening call, a trigger, sort of like a set of dominoes. There is an effect where this domino falls over and affects a place until it moves completely around the planet. And why this isn't recognized is because of the time lapse. It doesn't all happen immediately. And so there is a lapse of time between these events. And it's not always, shall we say, put together. The sequence is not always understood because the sequence is not the same. As these signals reach over trenches, moves between different continents, there is not the understanding that there is a sequence there, and it is spaced based upon the area that it is traveling and the distance between the two continents. So what was in danger here was not just Iceland, but Iceland could have very easily, as we see it, begun this signaling device. And so to calm down these two volcanoes was extremely important. There are many people who have the power to change activity inside of the earth by using intent, and their healing abilities are triggered through intent. And it is what happened in this particular situation. There are those who have used their intent, who came forth with the desire to heal this situation, and it has happened. They have moved away through their intent and focus lava from underneath of these volcanoes. And so it will calm down, it will rest, and people will forget this incident as the days move on. But I have come forth because I want everyone to know you are all shepherds for this planet. And it is your intent that can bring forth cooperation and healing and a sense of stability in areas that do not seem stable. And so even though this particular incident will prove to settle down and eventually those threatened by it will forget, I bring this forth to bring into your consciousness you are shepherds of the planet. Where you see a problem, use your intent and focus, either as one individual or as groups. Even though there have been toxic materials placed into the waters, groups coming together have the ability, through intent and through working along with the great knowledge that their soul has through intuition, you can change so much on this planet. So as you read this message of mine, look around you. Let your intuition guide you as to what you could do to help your home planet. It might be something little, it might be something big, but each of you have the opportunity to contribute. And if you wish to work more in alignment with the health of this planet, just call upon me, Gaia, and I will come and I will work with you and I will tell you what needs to be done. And for this, if you will do this, I will be very grateful.